Hello, boys and girls. Thank you for joining me as we continue reading the second book in the series, Revenge of the Slobbery Stranger. Please visit and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Storytime and Songs with Miss Joan. That way you can read through the books, all the books with me together in order, get to know the characters better, and enjoy the story so much more. And don't forget to continue listening until the end of the chapter and see how many fun reading comprehension questions that you can answer. Okay, so today we are in chapter 16, The Crazy Plan. Meanwhile, Sonny was on the Ferris wheel next to the merry-go-round with his best friend, Charlie. Since he was now at the top, Sonny decided it would be a good time to take Charlie out of the carrying case. He held him up with one hand so Charlie could enjoy the view. Then he got out his binoculars with the other hand. He could see Zeke heading in his direction, so he looked down at his watch. Time had gotten away from him. It was 9:30. The Ferris wheel was slowly stopping and starting as the ride operator was letting some people on and other people off. "We need to hurry," Sonny said to Charlie. As he looked down, his heart skipped a beat. He saw the McCoys and their friends heading toward the merry-go-round. "Oh no," he cried. Suddenly he heard, "Caw, caw." Sonny looked over. Eduardo had landed on one of the bars of the Ferris wheel next to his seat. "What are you doing here? I didn't tell you to come to the park. This is my time with Charlie. Go home," Sonny commanded the crow. Eduardo hopped onto his shoulder and looked down at Charlie. "Caw!" he cried. "I said go," Sonny growled as he tried to smack Eduardo off. The Ferris wheel jerked and started to move. The binoculars dropped all the way down to the ground. Charlie hopped out of his hand and landed next to his feet. Eduardo quickly flew toward Charlie, opened his beak as wide as he could, and snatched him up. He flapped his big black wings and carried him over to a tree. He sat on a branch with the huge grasshopper still in his mouth. Charlie's legs were jumping around trying to get free. The jealous bird stared at Sonny from a distance. Sonny was in a complete panic as he helplessly watched the crow with his struggling friend. He began screaming, "Come back, Eduardo, now!" All at once, a large number of crows began flying in toward the tree. Eduardo dropped Charlie onto the ground from high in the air. It was Sonny's worst nightmare. It seemed to be happening in slow motion before his very eyes. The gang of crows swirled down on the huge grasshopper and began pecking at him. As the Ferris wheel was making its painfully slow descent, Sonny was watching, hoping Charlie could still be saved. It was now time for Sonny to get off. He almost knocked the ride operator over trying to get to his pal. "Watch it, buddy," the man said. The people in line stared at Sonny, shocked by his rudeness. As Sonny got closer to the tree, the crows flew off. Charlie was severely injured. Sonny picked up his beloved grasshopper, held him close to his heart, and cried. Then he looked over toward the merry-go-round and saw that the camera crew had just finished filming Jake, Emily, and their friends. Still holding his now deceased companion, He ran over toward the hearse that was in the parking lot. Sonny had parked it with the back facing the merry-go-round so he could release the grasshoppers in that direction. As he was running, he saw Zeke wearing the kennel uniform, talking to Clara May. Sonny was now out of breath. His heart pounded as he fumbled for the keys to the hearse. He unlocked and opened the back door, then ran to the front door by the driver's seat. He was so nervous he accidentally dropped his keys. They fell and slid under the car. Sonny got down on his hands and knees and reached his long, crooked fingers under the car, feeling for them. After he got the keys into his hands, he saw some black boots. Sonny felt like his heart stopped. His mouth was so dry he could hardly swallow. He took a deep breath and he stood up to see a motorcycle cop who was parked next to him. "Having some trouble there, mister?" the policeman asked. Not really. I just dropped my keys," Sonny answered as he opened the car door. "I was watching you get off the Ferris wheel. You almost knocked that guy over. And then you ran over like a madman to a bunch of crows. Why did you pick up that huge dead bug over there?" I'm an entomologist," Sonny stammered. "Whatever you are, you're displaying very strange behavior," the policeman said as he eyed him suspiciously. Sonny peered around the policeman, trying to see what was going on. The McCoys had already gotten off the merry-go-round and were now next to the kiddie pool and water slides. Zeke had found Clara May and told her the puppy was sick and the vet needed to speak with her. They were walking toward the docks behind the kennel. Then he noticed several other policemen heading his way. "Excuse me, officer, I don't feel well. I need to sit down for a moment." He quickly sat in the driver's seat and pushed the button to release the grasshoppers. There was a loud popping sound, then a low buzzing noise, as hundreds of them were catapulted out of the back of the hearse. The mutant grasshoppers were everywhere, headed toward the merry-go-round. When the ride operator saw them approaching, he stopped the ride and hurried toward the fire extinguisher. He quickly grabbed it and began spraying the wild and crazy creatures. The people on the merry-go-round were screaming as the extra-large red-eyed grasshoppers covered the ride. Some of them were landing on people and biting their legs and arms. Officer Bliss noticed the commotion. He got out his cell phone and called 911, then yelled out for other officers to help everyone get away. They began stomping as many bugs as possible while they waited for rescue workers to arrive. "Run!" all the kids' parents and grandparents cried as they helped their children get away. The WXYZ news camera crew noticed the swarming insects and were videotaping the event. The officer who was with Sonny rushed to his motorcycle and called for backup. Sonny laid Charlie on the passenger seat and started the car. He squealed his tires as he drove off to meet Zeke at the boat dock. The policeman followed him in hot pursuit. In the meantime, Miss Doris had come out to the water slides where Stone, Sweetie, and their friends were watching the older children climb the highest slide with big, colorful inner tubes under their arms. "Did anyone come and get your puppy and kitten without telling us?" she asked. "No," Sweetie answered. We haven't seen them since last night. We were going to check in on them in about an hour or so. Well, I'm very sorry to tell you this, she said to them, but they're missing. Miss Doris looked at Aunt Betsy. Happy was whining and scratching at the gate of her pen, so we checked on her to see what was wrong. That's when we noticed little Samson was gone. So we began searching the grounds. Right after that, Miss Tiffany noticed that the kitten was gone too. Detective Bringhamback was standing near them. Clara May just left with one of your fellow employees, he said to Miss Doris. The man said Samson was sick and she needed to come and sign a paper to allow him to be treated by your vet. That can't be, Miss Doris replied. There's only one man who works for us and he's on vacation. The rest of us are women. There's something fishy going on here, the detective said. All at once, they could hear screaming coming from the direction of the merry-go-round. Homer was worried. I'm going to find out what's going on, he said. He took off toward the pet kennel, trying to locate Clara May. Jake and Emily were standing at the top of the highest water slide with Jaden, Jordan, Brady, and Chase. There were several people waiting in front of them, so they were enjoying the view. From where they were standing, they could see the hotel, pet kennel, the docks, and Lake Getaway. Wow, you can see far away from up here, Jacob exclaimed. Is that Miss Bliss getting onto that boat over there behind the pet kennel? Emily observed. Yeah, it is. Who's that man she's with? He looks like that guy, Mr. Creeper, who lost his wallet yesterday, Jaden said. Why would she be getting on a boat? Brady wondered. Suddenly, they heard tires squealing and a horn blowing. It was an old, faded hearse coming to a screeching halt in the parking lot behind the kennel. A tall, thin man wearing a white yacht suit jumped out. He was screaming and galloping frantically toward the boat. Emily, look at the way that man is running toward the boat where Miss Bliss is, Jacob said. He reminds me of Mr. Slade, Emily gasped. They saw 5 policemen on motorcycles roaring behind him. They could hear a siren from a fire engine heading toward the water park, sent to drown the mutant grasshoppers. Look, there's Detective Bringhamback running toward the pet kennel, Jaden yelled. Mr. Slade got on the boat and is pulling away, Emily cried. We better pray. Something scary is going on, Jacob said. They gathered in a little circle. Lord, please keep Miss Bliss safe, Chase prayed aloud. Yes, and please help the police catch the bad guys, Jordan added. Okay, now for those reading comprehension questions, let's see how many of them you can answer. All right, number 1. What happened to Charlie when the Ferris wheel jerked and started to move? Number 2. What happened when Sonny dropped his keys? Number 3. What did Sonny do after he told the officer he didn't feel well? Number 4. What did the mutant grasshoppers do when they were released? Number 5. Where did Detective Bringhamback go when Miss Doris told the McCoys that Samson and Frisky were missing? Number 6. What did the children see from the top of the highest water slide? And number 7. What did they do when they saw this. Okay, that's the end of chapter 16. I hope you can join me next time for chapter 17, Getaway on the Lake. Alrighty, thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you again next time, boys and girls. Bye.